morning. I am coming a little late because I was still working, actually. The food was delivered. I actually heard it being delivered. Was still working, forgot to go grab it, and then they did the announcement that the food's been delivered. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. And so it's just been sitting there. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So we have the first time a banana, which is kind of nice, at least a portion of a banana, probably like half or maybe a third of one, I don't know. And then we do have some French fries, which is an interesting breakfast item. They've given their tomato ketchup. And we have an orange juice, which I have swapped out for a cold one from the fridge. Probably gonna have to drink 2 in one day pretty soon here, being that today is day 11. I also expect them to come do my next COVID test for free today sometime. Don't know when, but it'll probably be today. I have the egg, the 2 waters, the breakfast set, or the drink set for breakfast, as they always give. And then finally, the most common thing that they give for breakfast now is a sandwich. And this sandwich is, I don't know what that is, kamjakong, whatever that means. And then chi bata. It's a kamjakong ciabatta. Don't know what kamjakong means, but it is on a ciabatta bread. And crack this open. Looks like a potato salad to me. Kamjakong. It's one of those things where when I'm sitting at a restaurant and I'm able to read something off the menu like that, I'm just gonna have to grab my phone and then do a quick translate. At least I could type it in now. Like, I'm pretty confident in typing on my phone in Korean. That's the big thing, like, I'm starting to search for map names. Certain things on the map, I need them to be in Korean. I think that probably makes a lot of sense to a lot of people, being that when I'm doing like the search on Naver Maps or Kakao Maps, if I type it into Korean, it actually pops in English for me to like select it sometimes, which is kind of nice, at least on the computer. I don't know if it's on the phone yet. I should really try that. When I'm trying to figure out how long it's gonna generally take me to get from point A to point B, and it's literally a guesstimate, so my plans could be just totally out the window. If, I don't know, there's, let's get rid of traffic. I think that's probably one thing that just can't be predicted really, is how bad the traffic's gonna be. There's probably always going to be some traffic, and that might actually be put into Naver or Kakao Maps, but I don't think it'll ever be as, I shouldn't say as ever, but I don't think currently it's as good as the way Google Maps does it. And Google Maps, at least the metro transportation, works pretty well in my opinion, because I was comparing them, Google Maps to Naver Maps at least, and they seem pretty one-on-one. I'll probably just use Naver Maps just to try to get the habit of getting used to using it around, and we'll see how that works. I need to look into a couple of driving things here, and I might actually ask my buddy, because it's been decided that he's gonna go ahead and drop me off into Seoul, and I'm just gonna take a taxi from the quarantine hotel to his house. He's okay with me being there. He was like, yeah, okay, he understood that, you know, being here at this hotel was kind of a weird thing. Plus, he had to pick me up at 7 a.m. if that was gonna happen. But let's see if I could translate this really quick. I'm using Papago as the translator of choice now. At least that's what I've been told online, is to not use Google Translate, to use this as much as possible. So it is kamja. So kamja is potato. Kong. So it's potato beans. At least that's the translation that I'm getting. Potato beans. And so let's go ahead and give this a shot. I guess I could do the close-up shots of it first. Again, here is the potato bean ciabatta sandwich, the banana, French fries, the egg, the ketchup and beverage package, and then my orange juice. But yeah, should be pretty good. So far, the potato bean deal tastes just like a potato salad. Yeah, tastes great. For some reason, my TV isn't turning on this morning. I know, total non sequitur, but on the 11th morning, my power button doesn't seem to be working. I have no idea why. Maybe I'll try unplugging the HDMI cord and plugging it back in to see if that does anything, but weird. Might be going into a certain type of challenge mode now. Here's the French fry. Tastes like a cold French fry. I don't think that's any surprise to anybody. I don't know if it's my taste buds changing, but it tastes as salted as it would be in the States. So I know that French fries in Japan tend to not be as salty. And I also understand that I'm in Korea currently, but... And the banana is good. So, yeah, I'm going to try to figure out what's going on with my TV, and I'll check back in maybe sooner. If they do the nasal swab thing, I'll film it, but it won't be up close and personal. I'll just set up the camera so that you can see the whole room, and I'll just walk over and do what they need me to do. Anyhow, I'll check back in at lunch. And hello, it is 11:30 on the dot actually, and they just delivered lunch. So, not to complain, but it does feel like they're getting a little bit lazy in the food area. I also thought I was gonna get a soda today, but it's another apple juice, which the apple juice is actually really nice. So I'm actually not too upset about it, or apple drink, I should say. It's probably because there's not enough apple in here. It looks like this one might actually be either 1% or 10%. I don't know, there's two numbers right there. But it says it all in Korean, so I mean, I guess I could really try to get into it. Let's see, it's Sakoa. Okay, so I think it's 10%. Sakoa. Oh wait, no, it says Sakoa over here too at 1%. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those confusing marketing things where it's like 1% of 10% or something like that. But yeah. Anyhow, I was thinking I was gonna get a soda today, but that's not the main complaint. We got one bottle of water as well. We have our soup, our rice, and our bento, which you'll already notice is the fish that I think I had yesterday for lunch, and like the day before that for lunch, if I'm not mistaken. So I say lazy, but it actually just might be that it's cheap as well, or inexpensive. I have a hard time believing that this fish, which if I'm not mistaken, is really long, and they just cook it and then cut it, or cut it and then cook it, and it's why it's called a belt fish, I believe. It's probably easy to kind of just cut up portions and serve to multiple guests. I mean, isn't it easy to make a bunch of jjajangmyeon and serve it as well? Looks like today's soup is seaweed soup, which is kind of cool. We also got the utensils. Oh, I didn't trade out the juice. I forgot to do that. I'll have to do that in a moment here after I finish tasting. The only thing that I'm going to taste in this meal, really, or at least on camera, are these weird ball things. I don't know what they are. Maybe I've already had them before, but I'm not 100% sure. And then here's the fish again that we had for lunch, I believe, yesterday, and some either egg or some sort of pancake, and the kimchi, pickles, more pickles, the rice, the seaweed soup, my juice, or drink, and the water. I mean, it tastes good, and that's, I guess, the more important part. I was just hoping that I'd get a little bit more variety at this point, not because I've had things multiple times, but because the food's all been pretty decent, and a bowl of noodles would have been cool. That's probably the only thing I haven't gotten while in quarantine, is like any fresh noodles. I did receive the cup noodles on the first day here, so it's not that I never received any noodles, but I haven't received jjajangmyeon, or the jangpong, the Korean version of myeon. I mean, or even spaghetti would have been cool, you know, just to try out what Korean Italian food is. I was watching one of my favorite vloggers who lives in Japan. He was actually talking about how he feels that Japanese Italian food is closer to Italian food than like anywhere else, and I think that's one of those places where we're just gonna have to agree to disagree, because I don't feel that, I mean, I wonder, you know, maybe I'll go back and watch where he went in Italy, but where I went in Italy, the food didn't taste like the the Italian food that I was getting throughout Japan. And he's traveled way more Japan. He lives there. He's actually a permanent resident there now, or he just got his residency card. He's much more of a Japanese person than I will ever be, but I love to travel Japan just as much as he does, and I've been to probably about 30 prefectures, and Italian food is not one of the ones that's the first thing that comes to mind, but it does like pop up every now and then. Even when I was living in Okayama, I found an Italian place that I really liked. It was actually a place that served pizza. It was the first time that I had honey and cheese on bread, like a pizza bread, the dough, and that was amazing. Everywhere else that I went, like when you get like bolognese sauce or anything like that, it's definitely not as good. And if you're not careful, it ends up being more like that Filipino type of spaghetti that you get from like Jollibee, where it's a little sweeter than I'm typically used to. But anyhow, let's go ahead and dive in here. Like I said, I do think this is a potato. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll find out here in a moment. It could be like takoyaki. It's very hard though, as I pick it up with my chopsticks. Yep, that's totally a potato. That's an amazing potato. It reminds me of when I was in Poland. It has like this creamy, buttery saltiness to it. It's good. Probably the best thing on this bento today. The fish is really good too, but probably just because I've had it too many times in the last couple of days. Wow, this potato is amazing. Anyhow, I've had the rest of the food before, so no point in making the video any longer than it has to be. Just a side note, I did gamble just now thinking that they would have come to do my COVID test before lunch and had the camera set up, everything. So it actually took me a little while to set this setup back up, and I highly debated just eating where I had the camera set up so that the entire room could be seen. Yeah, I totally lost that. They didn't come by to do it. They did pick up my form though. I left it out in the hall as they instructed, and so I'll be taking a taxi from here to my buddy's house. It'll cost me about $15 apparently, which no biggie, that's fine. We'll get to see where he lives, and I don't know if I'll film it or not, but we'll see. Anyhow, I'll catch you at dinner time. Good afternoon. It is day 11, dinner time, and it is quite the dinner this time. Just start off with some of the easier things. I got the yogurt again, and I did swap this out for a cold one from the fridge. While I was doing that, I also grabbed a Pepsi that I had waiting in there. I don't know from which meal, but they haven't provided a soda in a while, so figured I'll just have one with this meal. They did two of these kind of sauce cups. I think one is a sauce for the dumplings that I got, and the other is the dressing for the salad. We have a soup, and then we have the dumplings, some pickles, a salad, and like I kind of think they swapped who's doing their meals, because boxes have changed dramatically. Also, it looks like steak tonight for dinner, which is kind of cool. And then 2 bottles of water, which is good because I've actually drank 3 today. Oh, and then we do have a plasticware pack in there. So let's go ahead and get things open. Like slightly confused or perplexed as to this food. I'm excited for it. This is like pretty much all new. I've not seen it before. Maybe that's, my wishes were answered. They must have heard me from lunch. Okay, looks like the potato soup that has the vegetables in it this time. And let's check out the sauces. No, they've finished delivering all the food apparently. Okay, so this smells like the dressing, the sesame dressing that they typically give. Thinking this one will smell like soy sauce. Smells and looks exactly like the sesame dressing. Anyhow, as I unbox this and listen to them tell us that the food has been delivered, everything is looking and smelling for the most part really good. So, like I said earlier, I had the camera set up against the window looking into the room in case they're gonna come do a COVID test, and they never came. Maybe they'll come later tonight. I I'm starting to think I highly doubt it at this point. And maybe they'll come within the next couple of days and they'll prove me wrong. But I did go over the paperwork again, and it says, when will we provide you a COVID test? And at least at their paperwork, it only mentions doing the COVID test within the first 3 days of you arriving. I think I read that wrong and thought that was within the 3 days of my departure. And there's also the fact that it says that they're only going to do the test once. I don't know if that's just mistranslated though. Like, it's one of those things where I kind of wonder if that's the actual right thing or not. It could be that they just forgot to put it in, because everyone that I was watching that came over here had two COVID tests. They had one on the day that they arrived, and then one a few days before they leave. Maybe things have changed. I know that quite a few things have changed since like I got here or before I got here, so it might just be a total different system at this point. And so, going to the food, here is the steak and green beans, and there's a little sauce on there. And it looks like there is a rice that's covered with seaweed. And then we have the mandu, or the dumplings, with some, those look and smell like the relish type of pickles. We have our salad and our fruit. The potato soup that has the vegetables in it. There's actually little bits and chunks that you kind of see right there in it. And then again, the two sauces that look exactly the same to me. The yogurt, I made some tea. This is the water I was drinking already. That's the Pepsi I grabbed out of the fridge. And then the two extra waters are on the bed right there. But yeah, looks delicious. Hopefully it tastes as good as it looks. And let's go ahead and dig right in. Grab a nice piece of steak. And not the best cut of meat, but the flavor is really good. The texture is really hard and chewy, which is what makes me believe that it's not a good cut of meat. But I mean, the taste is spectacular. It's really, really rich and has a full like meat flavor, like beef flavor. And I don't think the sauce really does anything for it. Maybe I think it's a butter sauce to make it even more like creamy in a weird way. And then just a butter rice soup. I like onigiri, or I think in Korean, anything like that along those lines called kimbap. I might be wrong, but either way, because I'm more familiar with Japanese, onigiri, the rice balls, are something that I'm actually quite fond of. So now we did get mandu before, like I know that, but I'm gonna go ahead and try dipping it into the sauce this time and seeing how that turns out. Oh yeah. I think they forgot the sauce last time. That just matches together so well. Just as a side note, the food is all cold this time. And I think I was one of the last people to actually get my meals, because I just heard the guy kind of like bang it against my door before he disappeared. And I just went and walked pretty much immediately to go grab the food. And there was no one there. Oh, also, as I put the footage overlay of me grabbing the food, you'll notice that there's extra toilet paper on top of the food. And although I'm not out of toilet paper, and I will say that the toilet here is amazing, like has that really advanced like bidet system and everything. So you don't really need too much toilet paper, but because they're giving it to me and I've been here for 2 weeks now, my Airbnb, which I'll be staying at for the duration of my stay here in Korea, I have to shop for myself. So I just figured I could grab a couple of rolls of toilet paper from here and just bring it with me to that place. And then I'll have some extra toilet paper that I don't have to go out and buy. Hopefully 4 rolls will be okay. I do say that I'm going to be there for the duration of my stay here in Korea, but like calculating it out, I'm there I think for like 25 days out of the 62 that I'm here. And then the rest of the days I'll be actually in different hotels in different areas of Korea. I could have gone pretty crazy and like done like this whole wild tour of the entire country, but I decided that I was just gonna hit some main spots that I really wanted to see, things that I heard about on like K-dramas or in variety shows. An example being Jeju Island. I'll be there because it's like the Hawaii of Korea is kind of what I was hearing, and I think it'd be really neat to go see just certain little areas like that. I mean, I'll be in Jeju for a little less than a week, and then I'll be in total like Busan area. It goes quite far from Busan to Mokpo up to Jeonju over to Gwangju, and so it's a pretty big box that I'm covering, and I'll be there for about 20 days ish. And so, like, calculating it all out, my stay in Seoul is actually not too terribly long, but hopefully I'll be able to do everything that I want to do in Seoul. There's quite a bit of cool free stuff that you could do, and I'm hearing online or reading online that October is International Month for Seoul, and that places like Itaewon are doing celebrations on it because they're known as like more of an international center. So that might be kind of neat to go see. Again, with curfew and the fact that COVID still isn't coming down as rapidly as the Korean government wants it to, I'm definitely gonna pick and choose my battles. I do have some things that are kind of far outside of Seoul that I want to go do, and I might actually just have those items take precedence over seeing maybe like a fair that's happening for this month. I don't know. It's hard to make that decision, particularly because like if it wasn't for COVID, I'd totally just go to do the fair that's like a once in my visit type of idea, because I don't know when the next time I'll be coming back to Korea is. At the same time, I do wonder, should I play the safer bet and just go to like the things that I know a lot of people won't be at, or that I believe a lot of people won't be at. Yeah, that's what's going through my mind on the planning phase at least. And I do want to see Incheon, and I do want to see Suwon, which is like 15 minutes away from me currently, Suwon, which is like, that's the craziest thing, that I'm already in an area that I kind of want to see, but I'm not going to see it. Anyhow, I will check back in a moment here. Like, I think day 12 breakfast is probably going to be the next check-in. So we'll see you in the morning.